If you're looking for ways to empire build in your Minecraft world, you're going to need tools to help you define the limits of your empire. We've discussed walls in the past, and they're very important for protecting your structures from mobs and anything else you might not want inside the walls. And you should consider building them because they also help define the limits of your empire, specifically specific kingdoms. But also think about flags dotted around the landscape. You can use banner making tools to help you accomplish this, and you can give each of your kingdoms a distinct symbol and color association. This means that when you're walking around your Minecraft world, you won't have to worry about where you are specifically by looking at a map or some or the other structure interface. You can just use your senses and your knowledge of your Minecraft world to help you navigate around using specific landmarks, and flags are very helpful at that because generally when you build them, or at least my recommendation when you build them, is that they should be really tall so that no matter where you are, you can easily locate them, even if, say, there is a forest in the way. Although mountains might present a challenge, and that might be why you might want to consider potentially building multiple flags so that it's clear even where sight range might be an issue, you know exactly where you are in your Minecraft world. And that means whether you're flying high with your elytra or you're walking all over your roads that you've built to connect your empire, you can easily find where your empire is. And you might want to consider standardizing flag sizes, but it's also worth remembering that in the real world, not all flags are well represented by banners, if they're even rectangular at all. Some flags in the real world are square, some have more unique shapes than that, so if you can't get a banner to exactly represent what you're going for, don't feel that pressured to have to consider a banner in the long run. Once you've dotted flags around the landscape, you're probably going to find that there are parts of your Minecraft world that are a little bit less developed than everything else, where there is no clear line of sight potentially between flags, but where you have been before. These might be places that you've gone mining, they might be places where you have, a safe spot to rest safely. They might be places you've just explored one time and, might come back to. But you might call these parts of your empire outposts. And these outposts are still very important. One, because they define the furthest reaches of your empire, which is important for defining your influence in that region, and showing that your empire, even if it's not directly felt, is still looming in the background. And by building more outposts than potentially what you already have in your Minecraft world, you're clearly defining the limits of your empire. Remember that influence borders don't usually look as clean as actual geographic or even regular political borders. So if you're looking to spread your influence of your empire, don't always be thinking about just direct places that you rule over. Be thinking about places that extend just a little bit further than that. And if you are thinking about expanding your empire beyond just outposts, well, you might want to consider settling a couple of spots. I know for the most part that in Minecraft, some people prefer to stick around the same spot, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking to build an empire, you're going to need to make a big empire, whether that be a tall empire. So, for example, maybe you do stay in one spot, but you have a lot of villagers in a really dense location. That's perfect. You have a really tall empire. Or potentially, you're like maybe the Romans. You want to be spread really far out. So, if you are thinking about empire building in Minecraft, think about how your empire looks too. But whether it's sticking in one location and playing tall, or spreading throughout the land and conquering as much as you can, if you're serious about building an empire, one village is probably not going to be enough for you. Not enough subjects to rule, not enough people to trade with, not enough wealth to be had. So expanding your empire to include multiple villages means trading subjects, more profit to be had, and a greater presence of your influence across your Minecraft world. It also means more projects to work on, more places to improve, more places to come back to and visit, and more places that you feel like are truly yours. You may consider acquiring villages of a certain type. Potentially you're a plains empire, potentially you're a taiga empire, maybe you're a desert empire. And those are great because you can make use of existing structures that generate in the game already, like desert pyramids. I don't know why I forgot about that one for a second. You can use jungle, temples, you can use lots of other generated structures that are natural in Minecraft to help accentuate your empire without having to potentially already build those things. They're already generated for you. And I would say that that's a great idea. And if you want to do that, then that's awesome. But I would also say, why would you limit yourself to just one specific type of village when there's a whole world for you to conquer? In some cases, though, you may need to colonize to expand your reach. For example, if you're going to want to expand to swamp or jungle villages, well, you're going to have to build those from scratch. That means collecting the resources to build structures, and this is where I think building an empire comes into its greatest moment. Because here with these specific village types, you can choose whatever kind of architectural style you want, because these villages don't generate naturally in the game. This is your chance to really define your empire in a way that potentially doesn't exist elsewhere. And that's also maybe something else worth considering too, is maybe you don't even need to start with existing villages. Maybe you want to build an empire from scratch. Now that's impressive and going to take a lot of work. But if you're willing to do it, a swamp or jungle empire could just be the newest burgeoning empire on the world stage. But I would still recommend you conquer everything you can, because if you want to build a true empire, you gotta colonize and conquer everything you can. And while you're doing all that conquering, you may also want to consider villages that extend beyond your reach, because it's not fun playing alone, and if you're an empire, you're gonna need places maybe you want to expand to, or people you want to trade with, people you want to be friends with, people who are your sworn rivals. Here in Minecraft, you can do all these things because there's no limit to how many villages can generate as you keep going further out. Villages are actually pretty common, I would say, when it comes to structures in Minecraft. So the limits of your empire don't ever have to stop. And if you want to talk to other villages, you can do that. And I think this is worth considering because if you want to trade with those villages, you can do that. You can also connect paths to them so that they really do feel like that even if they are separate villages from your domain, well, the truth is all roads lead to your empire, and that extends to other kingdoms and empires as well. Though they might want to be careful because if you're feeling a little more conquering today, they might be the next subject in your empire. And speaking of connecting your empire, because I think this is a very important point, you might want to build roads between your settlements and your colonies and, well, anything else you might have settled. You want to connect your empire because, well, if you want to trade, you're going to need roads. You want to make sure your villagers can reach one place to another, and you want to make sure that you can reach one place to another and very easily see how your empire spans across your world. And, well, just limiting yourself to roads is probably not going to be great because roads, well, they might take a while to get across, let's be honest. So maybe you have some trade ships going across your world. You have a bunch of ports. And, nothing says an empire like a great lighthouse, or maybe two. And many ports across your Minecraft world will only serve to influence and strengthen your power. Consider that there's shipwrecks all across the Minecraft world. They generate pretty frequently. So you could use those shipwrecks and just adjust them a little bit, fix them up, and voila, you now have ships that can sail the world and expand your empire navally, or just serve as nice trade ships so that you can continue raking in that profit that your empire needs. And, well, if flying is more your style, your empire is less of a road-based, port-based empire, well, I think for you Elytra players, you're going to like this. If your empire is in style, then you might want to build Elytra launch towers across your empire. These will give you a boost as you greet your subjects from the sky because you don't have to spend as much effort flying up into the sky. You might want to dot these around the landscape pretty frequently, but you can also just use natural terrain to help you out if that's more your thing. But otherwise, you can easily fly around your Minecraft world, your empire, check everything out. And at the close of this video, I hope that you can use all of these tools and strategies to help you build your empire across the Minecraft world. Whether it's building an empire by defining the limits of your empire, and maybe just one more point on that. If you are finding yourself maybe a little bit overwhelmed with the number of projects that you're going to have to do if you're building an empire, one of my recommendations is to set a world border. You can always expand it out further so that your influence can continue to expand, but you don't have to worry about overwhelming yourself with projects for now. So maybe set a world border, but that might be a little bit limiting. So if you don't want a world border, just keep expanding your empire as we've discussed, conquering more villages, whether that be through actually taking over existing villages and, making them yours. It's peacefully, of course, or by building new villages in swamp villages, in jungle villages, in those specific areas so that you can really define your empire as something unique, because those kind of villages don't generate naturally, and you want to make your adversaries know that you're a different kind of empire. And maybe you're defining outposts so that you can see the influence of your empire. Maybe you're building flags so that you know where you are in your world without having to look at a map or any kind of other map structures. You don't need to worry about that because you can clearly see where you are. Maybe you need to just connect your empire so that you can fly around easily from place to place, or walk from place to place, or port over from place to place. Whatever you're looking to do, your empire probably needs some projects. And if you're serious about empire building, then you're going to need a lot of projects to do, a lot of things to take care of, and you're going to need all those roads to lead directly to your capital.